Now there is no shortage of dramatic arcs in the Clone Wars series, and as promised, here's the rankings based on the poll results that I put out last week. Now YouTube only let me put up 4 options on the poll, so I want to just put this one on the list at number 5 because I think it's a huge series of events. Death Watch, led by Pre Vizsla, finds Maul and his brother Savage floating in space. Now they become allies in order to overthrow the pacifists now leading the Mandalorians, with the head of this new Mandalorian movement being Duchess Satine Kryze. Now we get to see something surprising here. Obi-Wan and Satine fell in love back when he was an apprentice, when him and Qui-Gon were assigned to protect Satine for about a year. He even tells her during this recent visit that he would have left the Jedi Order if she would have asked him to. Now obviously they clearly cared deeply for each other, even still. Now Maul betrays Death Watch and kills Pre Vizsla in a duel by cutting off his head. This splits Death Watch into 2 factions. Bo-Katan Kryze, Satine's sister, believes Maul cannot be the rightful ruler of Mandalore, while the other half, they honor the duel, and now that Maul possesses the Darksaber, they believe he's the rightful ruler of Mandalore. Satine calls the Jedi for help and Obi-Wan comes to the rescue. But Maul ends up killing Satine right in front of Obi-Wan in an absolutely brutal and heartbreaking scene.
Remember, my dear Obi-Wan. I've loved you always. I always will.
Now this here nearly breaks Obi-Wan. He's devastated, but luckily Obi-Wan's able to escape with the help of Bo, and Maul ends up ruling Mandalore, at least for a few months, until Sidious comes in and puts a brutal end to it. Now number 4, and in last place on our poll, is the Mortis Arc. I was actually a little surprised that this arc was voted last. Now I know it's a bit controversial, as it dives into the more mystical sides of the Force, and these 3 celestial beings embodying the different aspects. Now I think the biggest controversy lies in the idea of balance. George Lucas has said that his idea of balance of the Force was that all the Sith were eliminated. The Sith, they corrupt the dark side to fit their needs, while the Jedi serve the will of the Force. Or at least that's what they're supposed to do. Now I'd argue that they lost their way during the Clone Wars, which Yoda actually acknowledges in Rebels when he's talking to Ezra Bridger. But back to the Mortis Arc, this idea of balance seems to change a little bit. Now the father was responsible for keeping the balance between his 2 children, the daughter who embodied the light side of the Force, while the son embodied the dark. So this reflects more of a traditional definition of what balance actually means. Now aside from the conflict of the definition of balance, Mortis had some pretty significant events. Qui-Gon reappears for the first time to Obi-Wan to talk to him about Anakin. Ahsoka receives a vision of her future self, warning that if she remains the student of Anakin, that she may never see her future. Now the father reveals to Anakin that he should take the place of the father to keep balance between the light and the dark, since Anakin is the chosen one. So again, we have a conflict of the definition of balance. His prophecy to bring balance was to destroy the Sith, which he does eventually when he kills the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, rather than stay here and maintain balance between the children. So Ahsoka also dies on Mortis, being killed by the son. Anakin revives her with the last dying breath of the daughter. The father then takes his own life with the dagger of Mortis, and then Anakin kills the son. Now Anakin here unknowingly changes the fate of the galaxy with this act, something that is continued in the Legends books during the Fate of the Jedi series. Now I have an entire video on what happens, and I'm going to link that at the end of this video, but to sum it up real quick, he releases the most terrifying and powerful being in the galaxy. Alright, number 3 on our list is the Umbara Arc. This one hurts. The Battle of Umbara was an extremely important battle that turned into a heartbreaking tragedy for the 501st Legion and the 212th Battalion. Thanks to the preliminary work of Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee, the 2 forces were able to break through a separatist blockade, and they began to land their forces on the ground. So Anakin and the 501st Legion joined Obi-Wan and the 212th Battalion for the invasion. The 501st was to attack from the north, and the 212th, along with the battalions led by Saesee Tiin and Pong Krell, would attack the capital city from the south. As the 501st fought their way through the jungle, Anakin was called away to Coruscant, so to replace him, Jedi Master Pong Krell shows up. Now immediately you could tell the stark difference in the way that Master Krell would treat the clones, at least compared to Anakin. He wouldn't even refer to them by their names, only by their clone designation numbers. Now he also decided to change Anakin's plan on attacking the city's center. Instead of sneaking into and flanking, he orders the clones to attack head-on and puts the clones in harm's way unnecessarily. Now, after taking some heavy fire and suffering some heavy losses, the clones had to retreat back into the jungle. Obi-Wan here then gives new orders. Master Krell once again goes with the plan that puts the clones in a really bad position, and they're attacking straight on through a gorge that will essentially funnel all the clones into a small area. As they crept up the gorge, the Umbarans attack again, and the clones suffer more losses. Master Krell still won't let them retreat. Finally, Rex here has enough. He sends Fives and Hardcase in to steal a couple of the Umbara ships that would be able to destroy all the other Umbara machines that are all wiping out the clones. Now, of course, Master Krell orders them to attack head-on again and abandons this plan to steal the ship. Of course, Master Krell orders them to attack head-on and completely abandon their plan to steal the ships. Rex disobeys direct orders from Krell, and it's Rex's new plan that saves everyone, and they're able to take the airbase. Unfortunately, it's a short-lived victory because Kenobi's forces are being pushed back, so once again, Master Krell orders the 501st to move in to attack. Rex at this point is really wanting to get a message to Obi-Wan to try and coordinate. Now, if they don't coordinate, they're essentially going in blind. As you guessed it, Krell declines Rex's request to reach Obi-Wan. The clones take the ships they stole, once again against orders, to fly them into the supply ship, where Hardcase makes the ultimate sacrifice to destroy the ships. Rex steps in here and tries to take the blame for Fives and Hardcase and Jesse disobeying direct orders. Krell forces Rex to put together an execution squad for the two clones, but the 501st refuses. Well, everybody except Dogma. So Krell tries one last absolutely horrific thing. He tells the clones that the Umbarans are dressed as clones and not to be fooled by their clone armor. Now, as they start to battle, Rex is the one that realizes that they're firing on the other clone battalion. And this was it. The clones had had enough. They decided to finally arrest Master Krell. Of course, he refuses and resists, and after a brief fight, and thanks to Tup's quick thinking, they're able to finally capture him. They learn that Krell was secretly trying to become Dooku's apprentice. He had visions that the Jedi would lose the Clone Wars, and he was trying to position himself to be part of the new order that would arise. Rex makes a decision here. He decides that Master Krell needed to be executed. Now, as Rex contemplates his actions, and to everyone's surprise, it's actually Dogma that pulls the trigger. But I can only imagine the effect this has on the clones. The fact that they were shooting each other and were all manipulated by Master Krell, that had to take its toll, both mentally and physically, from the clones. Absolutely heartbreaking. Now, voted at number 2, which also kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought this could have been number 1, but I'm on board. So probably the most emotional and eventually heartbreaking part of Rex and Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship was when Ahsoka reappears after leaving the Jedi Order. Ahsoka is helping one of her friends escape the Pike Syndicate when she runs into Bo-Katan, and they become allies when Bo reveals that Maul has taken over Mandalore. They reach out for the Jedi for help, where she's reunited with Anakin. Obi-Wan and the 212th, along with Anakin, Rex, and the 501st, were in a battle with the Separatists on a planet called Yerbana. When Ahsoka reaches out for help with laying siege to Mandalore and capturing Maul, Anakin immediately goes and tells Rex that Ahsoka was on her way to meet them aboard Admiral Yulari's Venator. Anakin and Ahsoka reunite. After a brief rundown of the situation on Mandalore, Anakin then brings her to see the 501st, where an absolutely beautiful show of respect happens with Rex and the clones.
Company, attention!
Go ahead. They've been waiting to see you. As soon as Rex and the guys knew you were back, they got to work.
Glad to have you back, Commander.
Fortunately, they're also able to convince Obi-Wan to split the 501st into 2 squads. So they form the 332nd Company, led by Commander Rex, who's to go with Ahsoka and Bo to Mandalore to capture Maul. Now, this is the last time that Ahsoka sees Anakin, and he gives her a new set of lightsabers. Technically, it's her old lightsabers, but slightly modified. And on Mandalore, Rex and Ahsoka and the rest of the 332nd Company, they fight Maul and the Mandalorians who were loyal to him. Ahsoka meets Maul for an absolutely epic duel. Here, Maul tells Ahsoka something that she absolutely refuses to believe.
What do you want with Anakin Skywalker?
He is the key to everything.
To bring balance to the Force?
To destroy
He has long been groomed for his role as my master's new apprentice.
You lie. Your vision is flawed.
The fight continues until Maul tries his final escape when Ahsoka catches Maul as only Anakin's apprentice could. But on the way back to Coruscant, everything changes. Ahsoka senses through the Force that something terrible has happened to Anakin. She rushes in to tell Rex when Darth Sidious enacts Order 66. Rex struggles to hold back temporarily from following the programming of the inhibitor chip he and all the other clones had in their brains. He hesitates just long enough so that Ahsoka escapes, thanks in huge part to Rex, who was instrumental in her training with Anakin on defending against multiple clones with blasters. He's also able to fight through his programming long enough to tell her to find fives, and his top secret report on them finding out about the inhibitor chips planted in all the clones to carry out Order 66. As they're searching the ship, when Ahsoka finds the recording of Five's inhibitor chip malfunction, and a report from Rex confirming the chips might serve another purpose, Ahsoka sets Maul free to wreak havoc on the ship as she captures Rex and removes his inhibitor chip. As Rex is recovering on the medical bed, and as the rest of the 332nd Company still wearing Ahsoka's painted helmets are just about to breach the room, Ahsoka is blocking blaster bolts as she starts to get overwhelmed. Just before they get to her, Rex wakes up and shoots some of his brothers just as the blast doors close. Now Ahsoka comes up with a plan to escape, but this comes at a huge cost to the commander.
I don't want to hurt them.
I hate to tell you this, but they don't care. This ship is going down, and those soldiers, my brothers, are willing to die and take you and me along with them.
You're a good soldier, Rex. So is every one of those men down there. They may be willing to die, but I am not the one who is going to kill them.
Rex tries to convince Jesse and the other clones that because Ahsoka is technically not a Jedi, that she doesn't fall under Order 66. But Jesse then charges Rex with treason. Maul destroys the hyperdrive of the Venator, and the ship comes out of hyperspace and begins to head down towards the planet below. Rex and Ahsoka barely escape with their lives as the ship crashes down onto the planet. This ending hits hard every single time I watch it. I don't think there's another moment in Star Wars that affects me as much as this scene right here. And number one on our list is Ahsoka framed for the bombing of the Jedi Temple by Barriss Offee. The events of this arc have such a huge impact on Anakin and as well, of course, Ahsoka. But seeing how the Jedi Order play politics with their own Padawan rather than standing up for her really shows how far they've gone off the rails. To not see what's right in front of them and not believe her really hits home that they've become part of the political structure rather than a peacekeeping religion detached from politics. Barriss Offee, Ahsoka's friend and Padawan to Luminara Unduli, sees the corruption of the Jedi. She becomes so disenfranchised with them that she turns to the dark side, orchestrates a bombing of the temple, and sets up Ahsoka to be the fall guy. Anakin is the only one that has Ahsoka's back. Not Obi-Wan, not Yoda, and definitely not Mace. Anakin is unstoppable in finding out the truth and proving Ahsoka's innocence. Now this shows two things. One, Anakin's loyalty to the ones he loves. This cannot be understated. Anakin is fiercely loyal to Ahsoka, to Padme, to Rex, and to Obi-Wan. But this move by the Jedi Order to strip Ahsoka of being a Padawan and not believing her really changes something in Anakin. Now the second thing it shows is Anakin sees the Jedi abandon Ahsoka when she needs them most. His turn away from the Order and his fall to the dark side is given a nice, gentle push. Now when the Order asks Ahsoka to return, she declines. Anakin, of course, is heartbroken, but he also understands and realizes that she has the strength to do something that he can't, at least not yet, and that is to leave the Order.
I need to talk to you. Why are you doing this?
The Council didn't trust me. So how can I trust myself?
What about me? I believed in you. I stood by you.
I know you believe in me, Anakin, and I'm grateful for that. But this isn't about you. I can't stay here any longer.
The Jedi Order is your life. You can't just throw it away like this. Ahsoka, you are making a mistake.
Maybe, but I have to sort this out on my own. Without the Council, and without you.
I understand. More than you realize, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order.
I know.
The Council doesn't trust her, they don't trust him, they play politics, and Palpatine capitalizes on giving Anakin exactly what he needs, while the Council shuts their eyes and covers their ears to what's going on right under their noses. Now, I mentioned back in the Mortis Arc that Anakin sets off events that change the fate of the galaxy forever. Click here to see that story, and may the Force be with you.